Hello and welcome. Today let's dive into the 53rd GST Council meeting held on 22nd June. During this meeting, the Council has introduced a bunch of recommendations to 1. Simplify the GST framework, 2. Reduce litigations, 3. Make things easier for businesses. So today let's break down 7 such key recommendations. As the name suggests, you get waiver of interest or penalty if you satisfy certain conditions. Before we talk about these conditions, let's first understand why this waiver. We are all new to GST and we have faced a lot of difficulties during the initial years. That is, we were not able to file GST returns within the deadline, or wherever we could, there was mismatch of data, either due to technical glitches or lack of understanding. So to compensate for this, the Council has proposed this waiver for first 3 years. That is, if you have received demand notice for FY 17-18, 18-19 or 19-20, then you are eligible for this waiver if you satisfy 2 conditions. 1. You should have received demand notice under Section 73, not under Section 74. Section 74 notice is for tax demand because of 3 reasons: fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of facts. So if you have received notice not because of these 3 reasons, then you are eligible for waiver. Second condition, you have to pay 100% of the tax demanded within the deadline specified. As of now, this deadline is 31st March 2025. You still have time. So if you have received this notice under Section 73 and if you agree with the demand, then once these changes are notified, it is better to make this payment so that you get waiver of interest or penalty as applicable. But remember, this waiver is not applicable if the demand is because you have wrongly availed refund. Another change which is connected with this demand notice is, as of now, time limits to issue demand notice or demand order are different for both Section 73 and 74. In the 53rd meeting, it is proposed to introduce a common time limit for both starting from FY 24-25 onwards. As of now, we do not know what this time limit is. We'll have to wait for it. Second change, introducing GSTR 1A. GSTR 1 is statement of sales which you have to file once in a month or once in a quarter depending upon the option that you have chosen. For monthly filers, you have to file by 11th of the subsequent month, and quarterly filers have to file by 13th of the subsequent quarter. Then you have to file GSTR 3B by 20th of the subsequent month for monthly filers, by 22nd or 24th depending upon the state in which you have taken registration of the subsequent quarter if you are a quarterly filer. Let's say you have filed your GSTR 1 on 11th and on 20th, at the time of filing GSTR 3B, you realize that there is some mistake or error in your GSTR 1. As of now, there is no option to correct GSTR 1, and if you file your GSTR 3B with this difference, and if the difference between R1 and R3B is high, then you end up getting intimation in DRC 01B. You will have to either explain the reason for difference or pay tax within 7 days. If you would like to know more about this intimation in DRC 01B, you may watch the video, link is in the top right corner. Now coming back to the topic, this new GSTR 1A is going to help you add missing details or even make correction to your GSTR 1 or IFF if you are a quarterly filer before you file your GSTR 3B, so that you end up paying correct tax when you file your GSTR 3B. This is a good one. Another change is related to GSTR 1 Table 5. In Table 5, you have to report B2C interstate supplies if the threshold is more than 2.5 lakh. In the 53rd meeting, it is proposed to reduce this to 1 lakh. So after this change, you would end up having more and more transactions in Table 5. Recommendation number 3, reducing the pre-deposit burden for GST appeals. What's this pre-deposit? If you disagree with a tax demand or assessment order, you have the right to appeal. And you can do this in 4 levels. First, with the appellate authority, that is the designated officer from GST department. If you disagree, then next level is appellate authority, that is GST 80, which is yet to start its operations. Then we have High Court, after that Supreme Court. But to file this appeal, you will have to deposit a specific percentage of the disputed tax amount. This is pre-deposit. Let's now talk about the change. As of now, to file appeal with the appellate authority, that is first level, pre-deposit is maximum of 50 crore, that is 25 crore CGST and 25 crore SGST. It is proposed to revise this to a maximum of 40 crore. And to File appeal with the appellate authority. As of now, it is 20% of the tax amount subject to a maximum of 100 crore. It is proposed to revise this to 10% of the tax amount subject to a maximum of 40 crore. Now, why this change? It is to ease cash flow and working capital blockage for taxpayers, but I don't see much of a difference here. Moving on, the next change is related to GSTR 3B. Here we have two different changes. First one, relaxation in time limit to avail input tax credit. You avail ITC when you file your GSTR 3B, and the last date to avail ITC for a particular financial year as of now is by 30th November from the end of the financial year. Earlier this was up to 20th or 22nd or 24th October unless it was extended. Now for the first 4 years, that is from FY 17-18 to FY 2021, it is proposed to change this time limit to 30th November 2021 if you have filed your GSTR 3B for these years by 30th November 2021. Another change is related to interest on delayed filing of GSTR 3B. As of now, if you file your GSTR 3B after the due date, even though you have sufficient balance in your electronic cash ledger, you end up paying interest. Now the change is, if you have sufficient balance in your electronic cash ledger on the due date of filing your GSTR 3B, then you don't have to pay any interest. And if the balance is insufficient, then you'll have to pay interest only for the difference. This is a good one. Fifth change is related to annual returns. Here we have two changes. One is related to GSTR 4. GSTR 4 is annual return to be filed by composition dealers by 30th April from the end of the financial year. Now in the 53rd meeting, it is proposed to change this date to 30th June from the end of the financial year, starting from FY 24-25 onwards. That is, you get plus 2 months. This is obviously to give more time to the taxpayers to furnish the return. The other change is annual return in GSTR 9 or 9A. Just like all these years, even for FY 23-24, if your aggregate annual turnover is up to 2 crore, then you are exempt from filing GSTR 9 or 9A as applicable. Recommendation number 6, reduction in the rate of TCS to be collected by e-commerce operators. As of now, e-commerce operators are required to collect tax at source, that is TCS, at 1% on net supplies from e-commerce sellers. Now it is proposed to reduce this rate to 0.5% to ease financial burden on e-commerce sellers. If you would like to know more about taxation for e-commerce sellers, you may consider watching the video. The link is in the top right corner. Last change is rolling out of biometric based Aadhaar authentication for new GST registrants. That is, if you apply for new GST registration, then biometric based Aadhaar authentication is must. This feature has already been rolled out in few states or union territories, and in the meeting it is proposed to implement this pan-India in a phased manner to strengthen the registration process and also to deal with fake ITC claims. Then there are changes in the rate of GST for certain goods or services. Let's pick a couple of those. Goods like carton boxes, solar cookers, as of now rate of GST is 18%. It is proposed to reduce this to 12%. Then services provided by the Indian Railways to general public is going to be exempt. These services would include sale of platform tickets, cloakroom services, battery operated car services, etc. And the GST Council has also recommended issue of clarifications on various matters, so we'll have to wait for it. And remember, these changes would be effective once notified by CBIC. With this, it is a wrap on this episode. Hope it was informative. Thank you for watching.